The San Francisco 49ers had no problem dismantling the New York Giants yesterday. How did they do it? We'll go through drive by drive and break it all down on today's Gold Standard Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard Podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrero. We're part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm going to be joined by Vish Kumaran in a few minutes. He had a late day at work. He is going to try and hop on the show. I'm not sure quite when, but hopefully he'll be joining us very soon. If you are new to the show, this is where we go through the 49ers game of the week, drive by drive, and break down everything that happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're live every single weekday if you haven't done so already. I may end up going over some of this stuff again with Vish once he hops in here, but what the hell? Let's go through it. We have not seen a 49ers victory like this yet in 2025. All of the 49ers victories were sort of white-knuckle affairs, right? Even the losses really had moments of that in them. This game was not that. This game was the opposite. This game was Niners get up, they get a lead, they expand the lead, they blow it up to 3 scores, and we're in the end in the fourth quarter just sitting waiting for the clock to expire. Now, this one was slightly different because we had the Michael Williams injury, which sort of put a pall over everything. So that was something that we'd seen before in 49ers wins. But the actual game was kind of what we expected the 49ers to do. This is what a good team should do against a bad team. And make no mistake, the New York Giants are a bad football team. A bad football team. They have no offense. They have no offense right now. It's throw it to the flat or run it with Jackson Dart and get the poor kid smashed, which he did a couple of times on Sunday. And look, I ain't complaining. It was nice to see a game like that, but the Giants are a bad team. Niners have better players. Niners have better coaches, and it showed up on Sunday all over the place. Now, let's get into it, and Vish will hop in when he can, and we'll take it from there. First drive of the game was the worst drive of the game for Robert Saleh's defense. The Giants go right down the field, 10 plays, 64 yards. They're converting third downs. They're moving the ball, and I'm sitting there like, God, this looks an awful lot like last week. And I was like, is Robert Saleh really going to have this type of game plan for 2 weeks in a row? I was really like kind of scared a little bit, and I will say too, I mean, the effort on the tackle by Deommodore Lenoir on the actual touchdown play was poor, was really poor. Like, he tries to shove him out of bounds. He goes high on a guy that's way bigger than him. Surprise, surprise. Theo Johnson doesn't go down, and everybody else is kind of sitting there watching, and he runs into the end zone. It was not a good drive, first drive for the 49ers defense. So the Giants go down, they get the 7-0 lead. I'm like, all right, well, we knew the offense was going to have to kind of pick up the slack here. Let's see what they do. And to be honest, they start doing what they're doing. They get a nice return by Sky Moore, which Niners special teams had a sneaky, really good day yesterday in a variety of areas. They get a 30-yard return from Sky Moore. Mac Jones finds George Kittle right away. I'm like, okay, let's go. They get the running game going. They get Juwan Jennings, involved. And then eventually they get down as they're driving and they get to a 4th down. If I am remembering this correctly. Yes, they're on the 41-yard line. It is 4th and 1. And this was kind of frustrating. Kyle, it's 4th and 1. He runs out the punt team. Then he calls the punt team off and they waste the timeout. And I'm like, my God, what are we doing? And then eventually he decides to go for it. And the 49ers run a quarterback sneak. And Kyle Juszczyk is definitely moving before the snap. No question about it. The refs miss it. I don't care. Doesn't bother me, of course. It benefited the 49ers. Mac gets the sneak. They get the first down. And, you know, we could Giants fans can sit and complain and say, hey, you know, they missed it. Shouldn't have counted, whatever. But the 49ers took advantage of the opportunity. And that's what good teams do. They can't control that the refs blew the call. But what did they do with it after the refs blew the call? They went right down the field. Mac Jones hits Christian McCaffrey. Then he hits Jordan Watkins on a 2nd and 12 play. And I wish Vish was here for this because I wanted to talk about this. This was one of the points. Benali says, sneaky isn't underselling it. Special teams was their best unit by EPA. Yeah, what I mean is sneaky in that people are not going to look at it and think of the special teams when they think of this game, Benali, but they had a lot of really good moments in the game. Brisbee Life on Twitch says Vish needed a moment after hearing the Mike Howell news. I understand. Dude, we all needed a moment. I crashed out on the instant reaction show. God, I mean, yeah, we all need more than a moment at this point. I think we've earned it. But the Jordan Watkins play, it's 2nd and 12. Mac drops back to pass. He throws deep over the middle, and Watkins is fighting with Banks, I believe, from the Giants. And it's sort of a simultaneous catch thing. And the nice thing about that is Ty goes to the receiver. So I don't know if Banks picked it off and Watkins kind of fought his way in there, or if Watkins kind of caught it and Banks fought his way in there. In the end, it didn't matter. As soon as I saw them on the ground fighting for it, I was like, great, that's a catch. That's a first down. Here is the thing. He's not going to get a lot of opportunities, Jordan Watkins, because Kyle's hard on rookie wide receivers. So when you get your opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. Watkins didn't do that last week against Houston. It was so great to see him come through. That was a big-time play in a big situation. Kyle specifically shouted him out after the game talking about it. Nice to see Jordan Watkins come through, and hopefully that leads to a little bit more. But if you are a young receiver in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you are not going to get a lot of ops. And he took advantage of it. And that is massive. So, yes, Jordan Watkins, because I want to see him on the field more personally. Kendrick Bourne still doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't know where to line up. His blocking is hit or miss. Same thing with Juwan Jennings. His blocking is hit or miss. And if you're not going to block and you're not going to be, much of a threat as a receiver, why are you out on the field? You might as well play the young guy. So I'm in Jordan Watkins' corner. Nice to see him there in that spot. Stephen Duckett, YouTube channel member. Shout out to all the YouTube channel members out there. Says, I was listening to the Giants broadcast at first, and that false start is all they talked about for 10 minutes. I think they knew how the rest of the game was going to go. That's the thing. And the Giants had their shot to get back into this and completely blew it later on. Okay. Oh, Benali says that Watkins play low-key saved the game because if Watkins doesn't catch it, it's picked off on that drive that ends the momentum and swings for New York. And if they score on that drive, then they control the game script because they would be up 14-0. Well, yes, if it was an interception, obviously that would be massive. If it's just an incompletion, then it's 3rd and 13, which you're probably not going to convert, but who knows? But I definitely agree, Benali. He was a big catch in the game. Kyle said so. I think it was McCaffrey said so. A couple other people after the game talked about it as well. It was a big play. So the drive continues. They go down the field. They set up Christian McCaffrey to score, but Kendrick Bourne didn't know what the hell he was doing. He ended up chipping a guy that was in the backfield when he didn't need to chip him. And because he chipped him, he didn't get out in the flat in front of McCaffrey to block a guy that would have set up Christian one-on-one for a chance for a touchdown. So that play didn't work. But then Kyle dialed up the first Christian McCaffrey touchdown pass, which is just work of art in the red zone. The linebacker that is guarding McCaffrey has to fight through, about 5 bodies, and he comes nowhere close. And Christian McCaffrey is wide ass open in the flat. He makes the catch, touchdown, 7-7 Niners as Vish Kumar joins the show. What's up, Vish?
Hey, Rob, how's it going? Just talking about like the mesh play to the Christian McCaffrey, the first quarter touchdown.
Yep, we just got through the Niners' first drive, the touchdown drive. I was saying, and Benali and a couple other people were pointing out, the Watkins catch was a massive play, not only for the drive and keeping the drive going and preventing an interception, but also for him to get on the field. Like, you're not going to get that many opportunities with Kyle, so you got to take advantage, and he did.
You had to sneak that one in, huh?
Absolutely.
But he looked good, didn't he? Another find for this draft class. This Tariq Ahmed guy, huh? Why don't we write more about him? Why don't we talk more about him? We can only talk about Adam Peters around here.
Yep, that's it. It's all Adam. You know what it is? It's just the residual effect of having Adam Peters in the bit. No, I'm kidding.
I wonder how much, and I think one of the things they mentioned to the broadcast, this one was, hey, John Lynch talks about how collaborative our scout team and coaches are, right? The most collaborative place ever. That's what they go by and all of those sorts of things. I wonder what changed specifically in the coaches process this year, because I still think the 49ers are a coach-driven team in the sense that the scouts look for a certain style of player that fits their system, and then the coaches evaluate them and select who they like from the group of players that fit that mold. And you can see a lot of their picks are driven by position coaches and, of course, the head coach. And so I wonder what changed specifically there. Because I doubt it's like Kyle Shanahan is no longer the one. I still think the coaches are the one driving the selection, but maybe they got away from looking for instant contributors and got back to what are the traits that we can develop in our system and what are the types of people that we can grow within that. That's my interpretation. What do you think?
That's my theory exactly. That they got super close to a Super Bowl in 2019 and they stopped team building and they were trying to fit specific needs and plug specific needs. And it bit him in the ass repeatedly. And then they finally figured out, like, hey, let's just go back to drafting the guys that we think fit our system. And I think that's why the last two draft classes have certainly, say what you want about them. You could be down on them a little. They're much better than the classes that came before that. There's no question about that.
They're much more normal. The classes that came before, it felt like you had a boom player and then you just had bust, 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 bust. These seem to be much more of, I see young players, I see high potential players, I see key contributions from late round guys who are put in spots that they have to play early. It's almost like we're seeing a normal sort of development on the 49ers, and it's especially sucked this year because there's a lot of guys that I didn't expect to see beyond the preseason that now I'm having to watch on Sundays, and the product sucks. I just want to say that, man. These games are not like, I love football. These are not good football games, man.
They're good for me. When my team supports up 34 and they win by 10, that's a damn fine game to me. I understand what you're saying. It's not the highest level of football we've ever seen, but I'm taking what I can get, man. When's the last time the Niners scored 30 points before this week? I can't even remember. It was against the Lions in that loss last year in the regular season. So it had been a minute. So I'll take it. The Niners drive down.
It wasn't just the 30, right? It was the way the offense looked en route to 30 as well. And we'll get through all the drives, I'm sure. But
yes,
there was.
We can summarize the Giants' drives really quickly for the rest of the first half, because here's how they went: 5 plays, 15 yards, punt; 3 plays, 3 yards, punt; 3 plays, 3 yards, punt; 4 plays, 0 yards, missed field goal. We'll get to that drive in a minute because that was sort of the turning point of the game. But I think Robert Saleh realized the Giants have no offense. They throw to the flat or they let Jackson Dart run. That's pretty much what their offense was. And Saleh figured it out after the first drive, and they shut New York down in the first half repeatedly.
Yep. I also think Robert Saleh is a nightmare for a rookie quarterback. And yep. In terms of like the drive can end before it even starts, with the way the first down play won't be a gain. The second down play will go, and the next thing you know, you're 3rd and 8 and you're not sure of what you're seeing. And you made one throw and it's 3 and out. And he can be a nightmare in that sort of way for a rookie quarterback. And I think we saw that. And I think what we're seeing in each of these 49ers games as the season moves on, and we'll see this as a theme, is when the Niners coaches have something that they can latch on, like, hey, if we do this, this is a win condition for us. And in this game for the Niners offense, they felt like, hey, we can dominate this defense because other offenses have been doing that to this defense, especially the secondary. And in the Niners defense case, it was, we can confuse this rookie quarterback. The moment those things happen, it's like their coaches just spam that win condition. Just find ways to just keep finding it. And we see what an advantage that is compared to the rest of the league. Because this is a 6-3 team, and they're sporting a lot of backups, and it's strictly due to coaching.
Press until it hurts, and you absolutely should. In coaching, offense, defense, whatever it is. Iceman 0072, thanks for the super chat, says Seattle looks like the best team in all the NFC. Really nice to have one win over Seattle already in the bank, isn't it? Isn't it? The worst
that win rocks. I think I would hold off. Wait till Seattle plays the Rams. That's the matchup that'll get them. That's going to be an interesting matchup to me. The one thing, not that this is a Seattle Rams show, but 2 things I'm kind of looking for is, one, I think they'll be the first team that'll be able to affect Sam Darnold in terms of the way those guys rush the passer and the way the pocket will collapse around him. They'll be the first team that's going to affect him. And with that, I have kind of 2 things. One, they got Roger McCreary for free. That was bullshit. Screw the Titans for that. That was messed up. Okay. I'm sorry, 1445. But given that, I would like to see how they cover Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like, what's the matchup for that? That's the question to me watching that. And then 2, I think the Rams have the matchup with their speed on offense for Seattle's defense, but can those interior rushers affect Stafford would be my question, because that's the biggest defensive line in football, and I don't think they'll be able to, but we'll see. But I think that's the tough matchup for Seattle. I think Seattle matches up pretty well with everyone else. And to your point about having a bank in win in the bank versus Seattle, I think Seattle is the 49ers nightmare matchup. Like, that defense is doomsday scenario for the Niners offense. Just the way that defensive line is, how big they are. Like, we saw it week 1, right? Brock Purdy played awesome in that first half of the game. He struggled a little bit once he got banged up in the second half of the game, but we saw early on, like, how difficult it was to run on their defensive line, the way they generated pressure the first game of the year. And so, like, the fact that they have that win in Seattle, that's pretty amazing stuff, because
We talked about it after they happened. To be up 3-0 in the division is massive right now, and it is such a comfort to know that the worst case scenario is they split with every team in the division. And we'll see. Obviously, the Rams game's coming up. We'll see how they do. Getting back to this game, Niners.
But coming back to matchups, right? Like, Rams are just a good matchup for the 49ers. And if they can get out ahead of them again, they can pull it off again. It's a good matchup for them. It's favorable the way the coaches match up, the way they play.
The Rams are better than the 49ers, but when I saw the Rams lose to the Niners with no Brock, no Ayuk, no Pearsall, no Jennings, no Kittle, and the Niners won that game.
They had Fred Warner, though.
Yeah, and that's a massive loss. But I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't shock me if the Niners won this week. I'll just say that. Can we get back to breaking down the game drive by drive, or do you want to go into, a detailed analysis of Rams Seahawks again?
Well, I will tell you, do you know it's the first football game I've ever watched in my life? Rams versus Seahawks, 2004 wild card, Mark Bulger versus Matt Hasselbeck.
Back to Niners, Giants, please. Niners get the ball back after going up 14-7. They go 6 plays, 38 yards, and they punt. Sadly,
we don't give out Juwan Jennings a shout out. We just gloss over that. Guy had a bounce back week. That was a nice play to get the score.
Yeah, thanks for doing your job, Juwan. First time all year. Appreciate it.
Man.
He's playing to get traded. That's what it looked like to me. It's like, oh wait, the deadline is Tuesday. I better have a good game this week to let people know I'm healthy.
No, I think he's just mentally, like, there's a certain amount of NFL politics that you don't get exposed to when you're just fighting on the fringe of the roster to make it. And I think it slapped him in the face this year, and it's a lot of pressure to deal with. That's all I'll say.
Okay. I'm not making excuses for Juwan Jennings. Niners get the ball back. They go 8 plays, 80 yards. The first 2 drives for the 49ers are 20 total plays. Remember, they only had 14 in the entire first half last week against the Houston Texans. Juwan Jennings does ultimately catch the touchdown pass. That was the only third down they faced on that drive, Fish. That's vintage 49ers. That's when the 49ers offense is rolling, when they don't even get third downs. And that was the only one, and it was 3rd and Juwan for the touchdown, and it's 14-7 Niners.
100%. And the theme of the day for Mac Jones is, I think there's 2 things Mac Jones does, and I texted these to you as a starter. And this is, like, he just does this really, really well. One, the time it takes from the ball is snapped for Mac Jones to be able to set himself up and throw the football, it'll be one of the faster times in the NFL. Like, how quickly he gets himself into position and how quickly he's able to get the ball out consistently, it's pretty remarkable. For the 49ers, to me, Garoppolo is probably the fastest at this, and I don't know that his footwork
he
is
didn't set his feet.
Yeah, it was as clean as Mac Jones. And then Mac Jones is probably the second fastest. And then the other thing is he's exceptionally accurate. He is so accurate. When he throws the ball, he's very accurate. He can throw it wherever he wants. But everything else, to me, is a little subpar from Mac Jones. And I guess you can get into some of, like, the processing stuff, but, like, every quarterback at a certain level processes to an extent. So to me, Mac Jones isn't processing in a way that's, like, so superior that it lets him overcome some of the limitations he has. But that's okay, because in this sort of game script, we can see when Shanahan's able to call a game that allows him to play to those two strengths, which he's so good at doing. He's so good at adapting what this offense becomes to who his quarterback is. And in this case, his quarterback can do those two things at an exceptionally good level and exceptionally consistently. He plays great. And this was another game where they just did that consistently. And he was rhythmic. His timing was great. And he is so accurate.
They had the perfect game script. And part of that was because they were able to run the ball. We saw it in the Falcons game too. The offense looks totally different. They were able to move the ball in this game on the ground, and it showed, and it made everything easier, even defensively, because it helped the Niners chew up some time of possession as well, which obviously, helps the defense that could use all the help it can get. Niners up 14-7. Giants get the ball back. They do nothing. Niners get the ball back. They do nothing. Giants get the ball back. They do nothing. 49ers get the ball at the Giants' 41-yard line because we had a Sky Moore punt that he returned for 14 yards. I was saying before you popped in, Fish, Niners special teams had a great day yesterday.
Yeah.
There were multiple good returns. Eddie Pinheiro hits a 54-yard field goal. And that 54-yard field goal, Vish, is like emblematic of the entire 49ers season. It's like, oh, they got Eddie Pinheiro. He's accurate, but he can't really kick far. And now he's got to kick a 54-yard field goal. Oh, man, look at this thing. It's a line drive. It's ugly as hell. Clears the crossbar, though. Counts 3 points, just like if he kicked it 70 yards through the middle of the uprights. Like, that's what the 49ers have been this year. They shouldn't be doing this. They're not known for doing this. And yet, here we are at 6-3.
I think Eddie Pinheiro proves that if you carry yourself a certain level of just confident enough, things just will happen for you. Because I don't think there's a kicker with just like more like annoying swag, if that makes sense, that does so much after every field goal than Eddie Pinheiro. And as Mike Florio says, it seems he's got a shamrock up his ass.
You know what? I was doing the NFC West show with Dan Vians, and he asked me who the 49ers first half MVP was. I said Pinheiro. They have needed every single one of those kicks,
Christian
man.
McCaffrey. Come on, dude. Don't do that.
Look, and the easy guess would be Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, because it's the right answer.
Here's the thing. Pinheiro's outscored him. They only score 20 points a game. They desperately needed Pinheiro to make all those kicks, and he has been perfect from a field goal perspective, and he makes the kick. And this is why it's important too, right? Because they're already up by a touchdown in the game. Pinheiro makes the kick. It's a 54-yard kick, but it makes it a 2-score game. Mac Jones and everybody can exhale a little bit, right? Like, that matters. Taking it from a 1-score game to a 2-score game when we're talking about game script and all that stuff is important. You're smirking because it's a kicker. Kickers matter, man.
I am smirking because it's a kicker. Are you in like contact with Jay Feely or something? Because you have been driving the kicking point home repeatedly on our show, which, I respect and appreciate. I'm just not a kicker's guy, okay? I only criticize the kicker because that's what they're there for. If he's Brandon Aubrey, he gets credit because that's different. But the rest of these kickers, just do your job. It's what you did with Juwan Jennings. I'm done with kickers. Do your job.
Yeah, but the guy they had before him didn't do his job, and it was hurting. Like, this is why they're pulling out these close games, because when they have the opportunity to get points, he hasn't missed. Because don't forget, if he misses that field goal, the Giants get great field position too. So that's part of it. Not only do you not get the points, but you give up the field position.
Rob, what was your analysis of the first 5 Giants drives in this game? Can we do a repeat of Giants did nothing? Giants got the ball and did nothing. Giants did nothing. Giants did nothing. Giants did nothing. So if they got the ball there,
would they have done nothing? Maybe, probably, but I don't know. And I don't want to live in a world where we had to find out. That's the thing. I'd rather live in a world where the 49ers have more points. You'd rather they have less. That's just where we're different. That's okay. We're just different like that, Fish.
I'm an analytics guy. I go for 2, unlike you, huh?
Kicker update. Eddie Pinheiro is really good. Thank you. All right.
Oh, totally. Although I do think like the new balls are like making such a difference, and it's making a difference for him as well. Because I know kicking in Chicago is different from all these other places that they've been kicking, but he was the Bears kicker for a while. I saw him kick. 54 was not happening. Okay. I think he drilled 59 this year, and it was like it could have been good from 65. Like he drilled it. So
Great.
it's made a huge difference. And shout out, Vic Fangio was the first person I saw that like made a deal of it, at least publicly. And I think he's
Well,
totally right.
the kickers that have been asked about it have all said, "Yup, it matters. I don't care, man. I like it. Good. I like seeing Cam Little bomb a 68-yarder. That was awesome."
Really?
You don't like that?
I don't like kicking. Like if there's one thing they could remove from the game and I'd be happy, it'd be kicking.
Oh, I totally disagree. I feel like people are I'm a real football fan because I don't like kickers. Dude,
No, it has nothing to do with being a football fan, okay?
What's so terrible about it?
It has everything to do with we spend 99% of the game, especially in the playoffs, talking about Mahomes this, Josh Allen that, Brady, Rodgers, these people. And then Vinatieri comes and he's the one who gets to decide it for everybody. Everybody's legacy gets decided by Vinatieri, okay? Vanderjagt comes, and I've hated kickers Manning was my favorite player as a kid. The first jersey my parents ever got me was a Manning jersey. And in 2005, as a 5-year-old, had no interpretation of the sport other than Manning needed to win the Super Bowl. And I saw the game. Vanderjagt missed the kick versus Pittsburgh that they lost. I've hated kickers since then. Vanderjagt has no reason to decide what goes on in Manning's career, and yet he did.
No, Peyton did because he didn't get the job done to the point where they needed the kicker. Get a first down, you don't need a kicker. So I'm not on board with that opinion.
I'd rather have it come down to Peyton. Make him go for it on 4th down. Don't make Vanderjagt have to kick it. Don't put it on this thing going through the uprights.
Then you blame Tony Dungy. What can I tell you? I don't even know if he was the coach at that time or not. But regardless, let's get to the play at the end of the first half because Levin and I disagreed on this, and I want to know your take. So the Giants punt. The Niners get the field goal to go up 17-7. The Giants punt. The Niners get the ball back. There's 38 seconds left. They have no timeouts. I contend that they should have just run the ball, run the clock out, and go into halftime with a 10-point lead with a chance to double them up after halftime because you're getting the ball first. The Niners obviously did not do that. They went to try and get points. Mac Jones gets hit. The ball pops out. It's ultimately called a fumble. I think it was an interception, but whatever. Regardless, the Giants have the football, and they are immediately set up to get a field goal and make this a one-score game going into halftime. Before we get to what happens after that, are you on board with the Niners trying to score points, 38 seconds to go, up 10, no timeouts?
Yeah, I was. Because I think you're right in theory, and in probably like if I had a second chance to look at it now that I know exactly what happened, I'd be like, okay, yeah, your theory makes sense. But to that point, the Giants rushers hadn't really affected the game in a way that it felt like the Niners couldn't just drop back and throw the ball and get the ball out. Like Mac Jones had been dealing, and with 38 seconds, you had to feel like we put him away right here on the road. Like we're able to put them away and we're able to take this second half in a different kind of mindset. And so that's how I was thinking about it. I agree with you. I like maybe interception. It was probably the one that probably existed most in the middle of any play. I think I would have leaned interception, but it is right there. Either way, I felt like I was okay with the decision.
I did not like it because it put the Giants in a position to do the one thing their defense does well, which is rush the passer. They knew the Niners were not going to run in that situation because they couldn't. So it was like, this is the one thing the Giants do. And the one thing that can get the Giants back in the game is a turnover. And that is, of course, exactly what happened. Now the Giants get the ball back, and because they are a complete train wreck, they gain 0 yards on the next 4 plays and miss the field goal.
Just one call out because I'd do it for any quarterback. Mac Jones didn't move.
Yeah, he could have stepped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because McKivitz gets beat by Burns on the speed rush.
McKivitz gets flat out beat, and McKivitz, who we complimented, has been bad since we complimented him. And I mean, like, you know what I mean? The last couple of weeks for McKivitz have not been so McKivitz-y as the first couple weeks were for McKivitz. But
here's the thing: when he faces a really good rusher, he's going to struggle. But if you're not a really good rusher,
Burns is
he's
a
going to be
great player.
fine.
Burns is a great player. No doubt about that. Burns will be one of the 4 or 5 best edge rushers in the sport. And Tony nailed it in the chat. That's 2 tough players in a row. Will Anderson is a phenomenal player too, and he's right, kind of a talent deficit, but he has struggled. But shoot, I lost my train of thought. Where did you go?
Struggling against Burns.
Where did you go before that, though? What were you talking about?
The Giants missing the field goal for gaining no yards on 4 plays after taking over and then missing the field goal, completely letting the Niners off the hook.
Ah, man. Okay, I don't know that I had a point. Maybe I hit McKivitz. Okay, perfect. Oh no, Mac Jones not moving. Sorry. Coming back to that. Yeah. That to me like was also part of the equation here. Like
he's so unathletic. He cannot move at all. And I know he's got 2 bad knees, which is not helping. But even at 100%,
no,
I've seen him.
He's toughing it out. He's playing awesome football for Mac Jones. But like my perspective on Mac Jones, when I say this, it isn't to criticize what he's doing. I think Mac Jones is doing awesome. It's just to say there's certain limitations to Mac Jones on why he's making $5 million as the backup of the 49ers. Like, and I think those limitations exist when he plays his best games, and those limitations exist when he plays his worst games. And his strengths, these have been his strengths even when things were going horrible for him in New England. And when you're able to highlight his strengths in an offense, he isn't incompetent, not even close. We're seeing it week after week here. But there's limitations to this full skill set. And so I don't know. I just like putting that into perspective.
He has had some real team building moments, though. Like this one, if you're watching on the stream, he gets hit in the face and his nose starts bleeding. And it was a bleeder. Like that shot I have on the screen is pretty tame.
It was like Alex Smith. That was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, it got worse than that. And he's busted open. He looked like a wrestler in the middle of a ring. And he's out there and he's bleeding everywhere. And then he goes to the sideline and eventually gets it all fixed up. But stuff like that, like, I really think he's incredibly well-liked inside the locker room. And it's like moments like this. It's him when he's injured earlier in the year, getting up, coming back on the field, clapping as he's coming off the field. Like he has built up a love and a respect inside this locker room. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the second word. More than like, I think he has a deep respect from the entire team and his teammates just for how he's handled himself, the way he's played hurt. And I totally agree with you. And in fact, my uninformed opinion, observing his New England tenure from afar, was that he wasn't tough. I thought that was one of his limitations as a quarterback. And there's nothing I've seen with him as the 49ers quarterback, especially given that he started now, so many weeks in a row, that tells me anything but I was wrong. He's tough as nails. There's no doubt about his toughness. He's tough as hell.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, he has gone through the ringer this year. They're sitting there joking about it. They asked him, they were like, Mac, you're on the injury report with 2 different knee injuries. He's like, oh, sweet, double. Like he has gutted it out this week for sure. So the Niners get completely let off the hook and they go into halftime 17-7 and they go into the second half with a chance to go up again by multiple scores, and I'm sitting there like feeling pretty comfortable. Honestly, the only thing I was hoping for was that they would run it a little more. I know Mac was 14 of 14, but I wanted to see them continue to run the ball because the Giants were so damn bad at it. But at halftime, I don't know about you, I was feeling pretty comfortable. Once the Giants got nothing out of that, I was like, we're okay.
Yeah, I was pretty like, there's no shot the Giants are coming back in this game. I'm not gonna lie.
Randy Galella says, how can the Niners quarterback get busted in the nose and no flag, and the New York quarterback can run forward with the ball and get a flag for being tackled? Yeah, that 15-yard penalty they called was bogus, and CBS even said so because they called up, I think it was Gene Steratore.
Yeah, Steratore was like, no.
Yeah, that wasn't a penalty. Yeah. So I agree with you, Randy. You're right.
Yeah. No, I agree. And in terms of the 49ers drive, I also agree with everything you said. And the one thing I wanted to point out was both Sky Moore and Luke Farrell made a catch on this drive, and they were both decent plays. And I thought Sky Moore would be the odd man out once this receiver room starts to get healthy. And to your earlier point about the special teams, he's starting to actually be a contributor.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. He's had 1 week where he's looked like a contributor.
But he has like one catch a game, and it'll be like a 15-yard catch and run or something.
Yeah. But you see how I did that? That's great broadcast speech. Like a guy has one good week, and it's a new narrative. Like he's, hey, Rob, I've been really watching practice, and Sky Moore he's really shown me something.
There you go, from your lips to God's ears. That's all it takes. We're gonna get to the second half in 1 minute, but first, want to give a little love to Sleeper. Thank you, Sleeper, for hopping on board this year. You've heard me talk about it all year long. It's really easy. You pick higher or lower on a variety of stats. And if you get your picks right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. And who doesn't like to win up to 1,000 times your money? And if you just sign up for Sleeper, don't even deposit anything. You sign up, you get a free $20 entry. Check out the app. Go sign up and check out the app. It is awesome. It's not just about the picks. They have news updates there. You can talk with other people using the app live. There's a real community there, which is awesome because that's what we're all looking for when we follow sports is community. The app has everything. So I highly recommend, even if you don't deposit any money, just go and check it out. I think you're really going to like it. And if you do want to deposit money, please use our code GSP. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Again, our code is GSP. Very simple. Some other people have some longer codes. I know you're busy. You don't got time for that. 3 letters. GSP, baby. Up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Shall we get to the second half, Vish?
You're throwing in jokes in there. Okay, man.
Look, this is sort of my job. I better get good at it. Niners get the ball back coming out of halftime. And once again, and I feel like this has happened to the Niners' benefit a lot.
We hit this drive. If you want to hit it again, we can, though.
They kick the ball out of bounds. Like,
I feel like
that has happened a lot where the other team kicks the ball out of bounds. The Niners get the ball back, and they just start going to work.
I thought he kicked it short of the landing zone.
Was it short of the landing zone? You know what? They didn't show what happened on the broadcast. So I assume it went out of bounds. Maybe it was. Oh, it was short of the landing zone. Yeah, that's what the play-by-play says. My bad.
No, they said it.
It was weird that they didn't show
the landing zone. They said it. They didn't show it. They said it.
So the Niners get the ball back, and they are moving the ball down the field. They got Kittle a little involved, which was nice to see. There was a defensive holding call, which I feel like you never see. Luke Farrell, like you said, had a nice catch. Sky Moore, the 21-yard catch. Kyle did a couple of weird things on first down on this drive a couple of times. He's got
him to run more, right?
Well, yeah, but if you're going to run, don't run those stupid pitches. The receivers on this team, Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings, when they run those pitches and they get stopped for like a 4-yard loss, it's almost always because the receivers do not block the guy they're supposed to block. It is not a Christian McCaffrey problem. It's a receiver blocking problem. And he called a couple of those on this drive, and they lost yardage both times. And then he called a weird jet sweep to George Kittle, which went nowhere. Yeah. And they kind of short-circuited the drive, and ultimately they had to settle for a Pinheiro field goal.
Yeah, the Kittle jet sweep to me was one that they probably thought was going to be like, oh, we'll get him with this. And the Giants were all over it. Or maybe they didn't run it into the look that they ideally wanted. I don't know. I'm just putting out there for two things. In terms of the tosses and all of that, I feel like sometimes they just have to keep their run game honest in terms of being able to hit those edges. This isn't an edge running team this year. It hasn't been. They're very much up the field. And they talked about that being a transition in the Atlanta game when they first got their run game going. Chris Collinsworth kept going after it. Although I do think that that's now become a belabored talking point because the Shanahan name is so synonymous with outside zone.
Yeah.
And we've seen that Shanahan has been this way since 2019, pretty much in terms of being completely adaptable with what he's trying to do with his run game. But I feel like some of attacking the edge is, we have to do this to be able to set up other things in our offense. And some of that starts from a run game foundation. And you might not get something from that run, but you need to do that run so that the defense is willing to play their keys for that run.
But the problem is they're losing so many yards. It's not just no gain. You're losing 3, 4, sometimes 5
No,
yards.
I agree. I don't think the call is intended to lose 5 yards.
Right.
That it's a disaster scenario every time. But I think the point of why they go to those calls when it feels like, okay, this never works, getting the ball to the edge for us this year as an offense is, well, we set up other things off of it. And this, I haven't, studied the offense or what they did yesterday to that extent to tell you this is the case. I'm describing what usually is how these plays are sequenced together from Shanahan.
So Niners get the field goal. I thought it was actually a pass interference on Juwan Jennings on the third down play in the end zone. The receiver has the corner has his arm like raked across Juwan Jennings' body in the end zone, but they didn't call PI. So, okay, whatever. Niners kick the field goal. Giants get the ball back. And
the receivers get that call.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there for you next contract negotiation.
I agree. So the Giants get the ball back, and this was infuriating. They start to move the ball a little bit. It's 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. And Jackson Dart drops back to pass. And what seems like happens way too many times, 3 49ers defensive linemen have a chance to sack him. And all 3 49ers defensive linemen miss. And Jackson Dart scrambles for an 18-yard gain. There's a penalty on, I think it was Diamador Lenore. Also, it was Upton Stout for a holding that gets tacked on. And all of a sudden, an 18-yard run becomes a 3-yard run. And the Giants are in business. And it's just like, why? What are we, allergic to sacks? Like, why can't we there's 3 of you there, yet we can't get the quarterback down. It was flashback to Tampa Bay on 3rd and 13.
Yeah, this one I wasn't as upset about, one, because they were winning by so much, first and foremost. But then 2, he is a good athlete. Like, he's more difficult to get down than Baker Mayfield.
Dude, there's 3 of you there. Come on, man. That was infuriating.
The other guys can make plays too. But yeah, you're right.
So the Giants drive down the field and they're in the red zone. They get to the 9-yard line. They throw incomplete on 1st and goal. 2nd and goal, they run Jackson Dart because it's their whole offense. He gains 4 yards. And on 3rd down, they throw a little ball in the flat to Singletary. And who comes roaring in? But everyone's favorite safety, Malik Mustafa. He makes a complete open field tackle. And the Giants, Vish, for some reason, settle for a 22-yard field goal to make a 20-7 game a 20-10 game. Thank you, Brian Daboll.
Yeah. Just like how you hit it with the thank you, Brian Daboll.
It's a cowardly call.
Yeah, I think there's no other way to put it. It's funny because I don't ever think about it from that standpoint when I'm watching the other team, if that makes sense. Like, I'd be very upset at Kyle Shanahan in that position. I'm not, having the same perspective when someone else does it, but you're absolutely right. Thank you, Brian Daboll.
What would you want the other team to do? I'm sitting there saying, I want them to kick a field goal, and they did. Charlene Crossley said the broadcast was flabbergasted by that too. Yeah, they were. Although this was one of the worst games I've heard Kevin Harlan call, and Trent Green stinks. I hope
They were bored because the game was flat out boring. That was the case.
Yeah.
Kevin Harlan couldn't get excited because there was nothing excited. Well, I guess the Niners winning is exciting for us, but to them, there was nothing exciting in this game. And him even kicking that field goal, to me, felt more like he's not necessarily coach. He's pretending like he's a first-year coach trying to instill culture in his locker room. And he's giving his young quarterback confidence that he led a scoring drive against the Niners' third-string defense.
Yeah, it was bizarre to me, but I'll take it. Niners get the ball back. It's 20-10. They're going down the field, and they eventually get to a 3rd and 1 at the 33-yard line. And they want to run a quarterback sneak, but instead of having Mac Jones do it, they decide we're going to have Kyle Juszczyk do it. And they call an illegal shift on Juice, I guess. They claim that there were 2 people moving at the same time. There definitely were not 2 people moving at the same time. I thought Juice got set. I thought it was a BS call. But instead of converting on the quarterback sneak, which he actually did a nice job of, he kind of spun off a defender and then eventually getting the first down. They call the penalty. It becomes 3rd and 5. They throw incomplete, and the Niners have to punt. I thought that was a bogus call. I was not pleased.
Yeah, this was a boomer. if you want to talk about good punts, I think this flip field position completely.
They punted 50 yards. It was a 50-yard punt to the Giants 21, and it was downed by the Niners there. So the Giants took over at the 21-yard line. I mean, a 50-yard punt by Morstead, that's pretty damn good. Special teams.
You love punting. You love kicking. You're that guy.
Yeah, you know what? It does matter. But don't worry. The Giants get the ball back. They go 6 plays. They go 20 yards and do absolutely nothing with it. Hooray. Niners get the ball.
Hey.
Yes.
Sam Aquanu. He had a sack.
He did. You're right. And Renardo Green had a good pass breakup on third down, which Renardo Green, I thought, had a much better game this week than last week. It was nice to see. Samo did get the
I thought he was the best corner on the 49ers this week.
Yeah, I mean, Diamonor Lenore, man, I'm disappointed in his tackling lately. Forget the coverage. He used to be like the physical, bring it kind of tackler, and I don't feel like he's been that, at least in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think somewhere his play has not been the same as last year, but I don't think it started the year that way, if it makes sense. I think it's been something that's been a recent thing, and I don't know if he's playing with some injury or...
He looked more concerned with making sure he got into a fight with Ray McCloud.
He's always ready to get into fights.
I know, but like, dude, nobody cares. He's Ray McCloud, dude. Don't punch down. You ever hear that expression? Like, he's not on your level. Don't concern yourself with Ray freaking McCloud. Like, you're supposed to be a captain. You're concerned about this? You're worried about... You're supposed to be a captain, man.
I totally agree with you. I just didn't know Ray McCloud was just going to get completely undressed on this show.
Well, he keeps tweeting. He was chirping before the Atlanta game that he didn't even play in. And then, of course, he plays in this one. He's lost to the 49ers twice this year, which is kind of hilarious. Okay. Niners get the ball back because... Oh, no, that was not a Sky Moore punt return. Okay, so Niners get the ball back at the 24-yard line. And I loved this drive, because the first play of the drive was a pass to Kendrick Bourne for 13 yards. And then Kyle Shanahan went, bleep them, we are running the ball, and they proceed to run it for the next 8 plays. They go all the way down the field and stuff the ball in the end zone on an 18-yard run by Brian Robinson that was perfectly blocked by the 49ers, and Robinson trucks the one defensive back in his way, and he runs it into the end zone, and it's 27-10 49ers with, 11 minutes to go in the game, and the game is effectively over.
Yeah, this was the first game that they were able to run block with space, and we saw Robinson's skill set, right? Robinson isn't he's going to make something out of nothing type back. But what Robinson is he's going to hit the right hole, and he's going to hit it hard. Mm-hmm. And if the right hole is open, guess what? It was going to look like how it looked yesterday, because he's going to hit it freaking hard. And we saw that, and I agree with you. This was the first drive that felt like, yeah, the 49ers have a little bit of who they've been or who we've interpreted them to be the last, 6-7 years under Kyle Shanahan. This is what they can do to teams. This is how they can close them out. This is how they demoralize them. And it's nice to see that right as we're getting on the cusp of real football in November and real football in December, the real 49ers are starting to come out.
It was beautiful to see. Nice to see Brian Robinson actually look more like the guy they thought they were getting when they traded for him. I agree with you, though. I think it's a function of the blocking. They were able to block. If you go look at that touchdown run, it is perfect. Niners linemen get the defensive lineman, and then they move up, and there's 3 guys ahead of Robinson, and all 3 hat on a hat. Boom, boom, boom. There's only one guy that could have tackled him, and he destroyed him on his way to the end zone. It was beautiful. Now it's
he hits the hole hard, man.
Yes. Good. More of that, please. And it's 27-10. I don't care if the Niners give up a touchdown in the next drive, because they were clearly playing soft, and it was like, whatever, who cares? We're going to get the ball back. But here's what I did like. The Niners give up the touchdown, and they kick the ball off, and I don't know how he does it. For the second time, Brian Robinson has a 40-yard kick return, Vish. It was in like slow motion.
You don't know how he does it. Well, okay,
no,
okay, fine. I didn't see where you were going with it. I thought you were going to say, I don't know how he does it in the sense that he's actually getting kick returns. And I was like, oh, this is just a 49ers thing, where the kick returner doesn't get to the 25. Like, other teams can pop off these 40-yard returns.
He's not fast, But
Yeah.
God, for the second straight week, he has broken off a good return. And it was nice to see because it was just when the Giants had a little momentum and bam, the Niners immediately took it back.
It's just like how he is as a running back. It's not like he's got this ability to find holes or create something that doesn't exist. But what he is disciplined at hitting the hole that's available for him, and he hits it hard. And that's what he does as a kick returner. Well, he hits that freaking hole hard, and he gets results sometimes.
And he absolutely did, setting up the Niners. And this was interesting. They run it with McCaffrey for a yard. On the next play, they throw it to McCaffrey for a 40-yard gain, 39 technically. But McCaffrey, after the game, gave Mac a lot of credit because he said that he was supposed to run like a more complicated route. But basically, Mac looked over and saw that nobody was covering McCaffrey, so he just threw it. And Christian, being Christian McCaffrey, who's always ready for the ball, looks up, sees the ball, and catches it. And there literally is nobody there. And he runs 40 yards down the field. And 3 plays later, they score another touchdown. And then it was like, okay, this game is really over.
Yeah, I like that for Mac Jones too. That shows that he's like now found himself to the point where he feels in control. He feels ownership. He started enough where he feels like, yeah, it's my freaking offense. I can dictate what's going on the field. I'm going to do what I think is best. Oh, we can make this play. Let me go make this play. I'm kind of I'm doing the broadcaster thing where I'm over espousing something that someone did. But I do think from a confidence standpoint, that's a really good thing for Mac Jones. I don't know that that's something he would have been fully comfortable doing in his first start.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the only thing that happened after, unfortunately, is big. But on the, I think it was the second play of the Giants' next drive, Mykel Williams gets his leg caught up in the MetLife turf. Maybe, I don't know if it was the turf or it would have happened anywhere else, but regardless, he gets down, gets injured, and we found out today that it was not only was it a torn ACL, but it was also a lateral meniscus injury, I believe. Yeah, lateral meniscus also. Apparently, they still feel good about him healing up, whatever. We'll see. Long way to go there. But once again, Vish, another member of this defense, another key member of this defense gets injured, and not just injured, but devastatingly so. And he's gone for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah. I thought this was brutal for myself as a fan. First, Mykel Williams, right? This sucks. But like as a fan for me, and I mean this like in the most like this is just the realest thing I can say. But I have a certain level of investment to the people the 49ers draft, specifically the ones they draft early. I want to see them develop. I love seeing them as 49ers. Like the players they draft are the ones I want to see succeed on this team. And when I see the superstars of this team go down this year, like the guys I'm looking forward to seeing every week is Mykel Williams, for example. Alfred Collins, for example, like the players that I think, oh, these could be pieces of this team in the future, these sorts of things. And so as appreciative as I am for the 49ers being 6-3, and as appreciative as I am for some of these guys like Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne coming in and stepping up and helping the Niners win, like those aren't Niners players to me. Like Mykel Williams is a Niners player. Yep. And this one kind of hit me the same way. It's like, oh, Bosa's out. Oh, Warner's out. Like I look forward to watching this guy every Sunday. Yes, he doesn't do too much yet rushing the passer, but I really looked forward to it every Sunday because there was a part of me that was really excited for his potential and what he can grow to be and what I think he can be and how he had been playing and the physicality he played with. And so it was really, really disappointing, especially when you hear the severity of the injury for a guy that's so young, so talented. Rehabbing is the worst thing for his development. Yep. And it just sets back the career of a player who was showing promise, but also was just like a guy that fans were looking forward to seeing every week, specifically me.
That was the devastating thing for me. It's like, number one, he's not going to be back till halfway through next year at the earliest because it's so late in the season now. And number two, he's going to spend the whole offseason rehabbing instead of spending the whole offseason, adjusting to life in the NFL and getting his body ready and working on his craft. That's all a real thing. Like players make a jump between year 1 and year 2 for a reason. And when you go and look, most of the time, the reason is because they're able to spend a whole lot. They're like, oh, this is how it is in the NFL. Okay, now I know what I need to be prepared for. And he can't do that because he's going to have to rehab all the damn time.
No, I totally agree with you.
The blood sacrifices will continue until morale improves in San Francisco, apparently. So that was obviously devastating. Every time they get somebody back from injury, somebody else goes down. Kyle Shanahan did have a conference call today. They are not, I repeat, not opening up the practice window for Brandon Ayuk. Surprise, surprise. And they don't know if Ricky Pearsall can play this week. He has a chance. They're going to see on Wednesday. Again, this is a quote-unquote minor PCL injury to Ricky Pearsall that has kept him out since, I believe, the Jaguars game. So once again, we could be going into the Rams game, Vish, with backup quarterback, no wide receiver 1, no wide receiver 2. Jawan Jennings looks like he'll be there, so that's an improvement. But damn, man. And the crazy thing, too, is Michael was the only injury coming out of this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's brutal. Let me ask you this. Couple questions on some injuries, how they handled, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, do you think Purdy should have been iced and put on IR?
1,000%. And I don't know if that's a misdiagnosis by the training staff saying, oh, no, this is a minor injury, he should be back. Or if it's just they're worried about putting on guys on IR and then running out of the eligible to return slots because you only have so many of those. So that could be a factor. But he should have been on IR. Pearsall should have been on IR. And now it's, they kind of tie themselves in knots with their roster the way they've handled all this.
So I agree with you in terms of Purdy being on IR, and here's why. I think your point about the roster coming back was how I originally interpreted it, but I don't feel like they're rushed to bring him back anymore. And that to me is why you put him on IR, if that makes sense. Like him being week to week with this injury initially, like to me is like, oh, the moment he's even close and we feel like we can play with him at quarterback, like we want him on the field because that's how every $50 million quarterback in the NFL should be. But now it doesn't seem like that. And I don't know if that's because his injury has gotten worse over time or it's not improved. They haven't necessarily given good details on that. But now it does feel like, man, you're kind of just playing this out as a week to week, but it's like he's now just sucking up a roster spot every single week for not being there. And then the Pearsall thing to me, I've never been a fire the training staff proponent, and it's not because I think the training staff is doing an exceptional job. It's just because I don't really know what this training staff doesn't have that another training staff has, right? Like they all get the same medical degrees. They all have like the same education. So like there must be a deeper thing to this than we're really understanding, and maybe firing the training staff isn't the answer. But the Pearsall thing, and you've been adamant of pointing it out on Twitter, might be the worst example of an injury with the 49ers. This was a kind of minor knee injury that came out of nowhere that shouldn't have been bothering him, whatever. Then he ended up missing a week, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And now he's missed a month of the season. And that's the one where it looks like, well, he doesn't really look close to coming back either. And that's the one where it's, what did you say? Sorry.
He can't even practice. He's not
right,
even living.
And that's the one to me that's like even more bizarre, and it's even more bizarre that IR never came up for that one. And so yeah,
incredibly frustrating to say the least. Kyle Shanahan was actually asked on the conference call today, like, "Hey, does the way Mac's playing kind of cause you to slow play things with Brock?" Here's what he said.
Yeah, they're not related. I mean, this is Brock's team. If Brock's good to go and everything and can play like Brock, there's no decision to be made. It's just nice as we go through this with Brock, the uncertainty of the toe. It is cool to have someone playing as good as Mac is, but they're not related.
Did you catch that, Bish? Did you catch that?
I mean,
yeah. When he's,
I'm just saying, when you have to say,
I mean, this is Brock's
when he's
team.
playing like Brock.
He said this is Brock's team. And I'm gonna go Tywin Lannister on you, Vish.
Any man who must say I am the king is no true king.
If you feel compelled to say whose team it is, that's the beginnings of you got two quarterbacks that are playing at a similar level. I'll say it that way.
Maybe. I think it's hard to see that differently because of one thing. I don't know that I think they're 6-3 with Brock Purdy too, if that makes sense. And
Maybe better with Brock.
right, but I don't know that they're 7-2 or 8. Like I don't like when you look at their losses. If you say they play Tampa Bay without Fred Warner, I'm not. I don't think they win that Tampa Bay game with Brock Purdy. If you say they play Houston the same exact way they played Houston, like to me, they lost to Houston for much more reasons than just the quarterback. And then you pick the game, the Jacksonville game. Well, they lost that game with him starting and he was banged up. And so that's where when I look at it that way, it's hard to describe it. But for me, where it comes into play, and I'm more of a particular on these sorts of things, is I feel like when you, and I brought this up last week on the show, right? I feel like when you pay a quarterback, and I'm like quote unquote old school NFL with this, but when you pay a quarterback a certain amount of money and it's his team and you're saying, well, we're committed to this guy to the point where we're not going to think about quarterback for the next 3 years. That's how we're paying this guy. You expect him to start, and you don't have the need to hold him out until Brock is Brock, if that makes sense. You don't have that opportunity because if you're paying him that sort of money, no matter how good the other guy is, 80% of this guy just puts you in a better spot. That's just how it is, right? Like you make Garoppolo start for the Rams. Garoppolo could be playing out of his mind. If Stafford is near good to go, he's going to go. Flacco is playing out of his mind for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's playing out of his mind. If Joe Burrow is even close to being able to step onto the field healthy, they're pulling Flacco right away. They're not doing a wait for Joe to be Joe because nobody's 100% in this league. That doesn't exist once the season starts.
Right.
And so that's the one thing that's a little bothersome to me in this. It's not a Brock Purdy thing. It's, hey, what you paid him. He's your guy. We can't do this thing with Mac Jones and wait for him to be him. This is part of being the guy. He's got to battle through this year. He's got to be that guy. And that's again my kind of perspective on it. And I think maybe that needs to evolve. Maybe quarterbacks aren't meant to start 17 games anymore every single year. But dude, I grew up in a league where Matt Ryan played banged up. Eli played banged up. Phil Rivers started every game. Like, and I'm picking very unathletic quarterbacks every time, but these guys took beatings and played week after week after week. Sprained ankle, broken finger, this, that.
Didn't Eli play with his jaw wired shut once?
Did he? I don't
think
know
he did. Like those Mannings are tough as hell, man.
Yeah.
Archie didn't raise no wimps. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Look, the quarterback thing is, I get people saying the fact that like they're getting similar production doesn't say much for Brock, excuse me. But I've said this and I continue to stand by it. Brock to me gives you everything Mac gives you and more because you get the mobility. And so that settles the argument for me. Josh Dubow had an interesting tweet that I honestly wouldn't have known just through my observations of watching the game. This year, on passes 20-plus yards down the field, Purdy is 7 of 10, including 4 of 6 to Ricky Pearsall. Mac is 3 of 20. That's a big difference.
Look, no, I think having Pearsall makes an impact because I think all of Mac's 3 are to Pearsall. So not having Pearsall.
This Pearsall guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He makes a difference. Second of all, reading the chat, I think I have a perfectly good understanding of what turf toe is. I didn't bring up Burrow as an example to say he's going to come back this year. I said if Burrow was in any position to play, he would be back.
Right.
The Brock Purdy situation is funny because regardless of what that position was, they put him on the field 3 weeks earlier. Like he played a game as the starting quarterback for the 49ers. And they never put him on IR or said he needs to get surgery. They said this was a week-to-week injury. And in fact, before the Jacksonville game, they were talking about how he's a fast healer and he's gotten way better and all of these sorts of things. And now they've almost slow-played it to the point where he's so hurt. Do you remember when they did this with Garoppolo's ankle, Rob? What was the consensus opinion about Garoppolo's ankle when they made him play in the Miami game and all of that?
Well, was different. Wasn't that like everybody thought he was healthy and Jimmy didn't want to get back out on the field?
Yeah.
I think Brock
But the opinion was right. Like you're paid a certain amount at quarterback. You play with an ankle. You think that consensus opinion has changed in Kyle Shanahan's mind?
No, definitely not. And remember that story that Julian Edelman told about Garoppolo when he was in New England about how, Jimmy was hurt and he was like, I can't go. And they had to have Brissett play. And he was even more banged up than Garoppolo. And that kind of hurt Jimmy's standing in the locker room in New England. But I don't think that's the issue with Brock. I think Brock.
No, I don't mean it. I don't mean it in that sort of way. I mean more so coming back to my primary point, which is, look, he's better than Mac Jones. I think each one of these shows I outlined, there are certain limitations with Mac Jones that I wouldn't want him to be his quarterback. But to me, I also have this certain expectation when you say, hey, I'm paying $56 million and saying this is my franchise quarterback and we're building the team around this guy and we're not going to look at quarterback for the next 3 years because we're paying this guy that much money. And now there's a different expectation. You're expected to play a different amount of games. You're not just expected to be better than your backup. It should be in a way where it doesn't feel like, hey, backup or starter, it hasn't felt that different. And to me, people look at how Mac Jones has played as a compliment to him. To me, it's more indicative of, hey, when the game is coached like this and when you have Christian McCaffrey, a lot of guys can play in this offense. And that's where when you pay a guy and you say, well, we can pay a guy when a lot of guys can play in this offense, you expect him to play.
Benali says, but then we're saying they rushed him back too early, and now we're saying we're playing.
I didn't say they rushed him back. They put him on the field for a reason. But now they're saying they're being conservative about it. And I never said they rushed him back then, I don't think.
But you saw how he looked. I mean, clearly he was not good.
Yeah, but I think that there could be more than the injury that played into that. Jacksonville has a good front. It is a tough game. Like,
yeah, they
took the easy way out on saying his performance directly correlated with his injury because they had that excuse then. But they sung the tune of the week before. Like the week before, I think when Mac Jones started, who did they play? Arizona. They were saying Brock was close, the Arizona game. Didn't we say Jay Glazer said if this is a playoff game, Brock Purdy would be playing? And then the next week, John Lynch went on the radio and was like, Brock's a fast healer, all of this. Mac Jones got hurt after Jay Glazer said, if this was a playoff game, Brock Purdy would be playing.
Oh, Brock.
Oh,
the legend of Brock Purdy. I honestly, I want to see him out on the field again because I do agree with you. Like, there is something to Brock's going to be here for the next few years. He's one of their foundational guys. Mac Jones, and let's talk about this really quickly, Bish. I think, honestly, they should trade Mac in the offseason. He's under contract. He's built up his value. You can get, maybe a third-round pick that becomes a second if he hits certain incentives for Mac Jones. They may need it, especially if John Lynch makes a move before the deadline here, because it's not like the 49ers have a ton of draft picks. They've got a first, a second, and a third, and then a bunch of fourths that they think are going to be compensatory picks. And then I think they have a seventh-round pick. So especially if John Lynch makes another trade, you might need to replenish your war chest a little bit, and trading Mac Jones would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. If they trade Mac Jones, I don't think Mac Jones would have the kind of market that his season stats are going to make you think he's going to have, if that makes sense. I think there would only be a few teams that would look at Mac Jones and say, oh, he could start for us with the way we run our offense in that sort of situation. But I do agree with you, if the opportunity presents itself, you should think, man, we can get another veteran in here and feel like, hey, if he has enough reps, he can play a certain way for us. And so, by the way, I want to say one last thing about the turf toe. Mm-hmm. Everybody is comparing it to Patrick Willis, turf toe ended his career. Deion Sanders, turf toe ended his career. He was never diagnosed to have an injury as serious as any of those guys. They said it was week to week early on. That's why we had this conversation about him going to IR.
I thought it was 2 to 5 early on.
2 to 5, and then they said it was week to week. We're going to take him week to week because the Arizona game, right? Jay Glazer said if it's a playoff game, he's going to be able to play. And that's the point of it. If he had initially, right, this is a turf toe injury, and guys, it's bad. Like, we don't know that he's going to come back for a certain time like Joe Burrow. Nobody's going to be talking about this. But they said he was ready to come back a week before he actually did come back. The week he came back, they said he was ready to come back the whole time. The Mac Jones injury was, sure, you can say it was a part of the factor, but it had nothing to do with Jay Glazer saying that Brock Purdy would play if it was a playoff game. And he comes back, doesn't look very good, and now we're back to, this is a serious turf toe injury. Now we're comparing his turf toe injury to the one that took Patrick Willis's career, and that was repeated turf toe injuries. The one that took Deion Sanders, that was repeated turf toe injuries. To me, it's not the same comparison. It frustrates me reading it in the chat, but I had a long day at work, so maybe I'm just getting a little fired up for no.
You're a little cranky, I think, Vish. I agree with this. Mike UA, Brock is going to have surgery as soon as the season is over. Grant asked Kyle specifically, is there a possibility Brock could have surgery? And Kyle said, well, not as much as I've heard, or no one's told me, is essentially what he said. That's not a direct quote, but he didn't say no. And that's the thing. I have said, I don't think we're going to see Brock again the rest of the year. I don't think we're going to see.
They need to shut him down then.
I think that's
put him on IR. That's what I'm saying.
I think that he's going to have surgery after the season. And I mean, Kyle said, he wasn't close to playing this week. It's like, well, then why the hell were you having him practice all week? It's the whole thing is stupid.
I don't understand. And yeah, it is what it is. I would say put him on IR. That to me is the frustration in all of this. If he's that injured, put him on IR.
The whole handling of the roster has been extremely frustrating and questionable this season. And yet somehow they're like Captain America in the Marvel movies where he gets up and he's like, I could do this all day. That's the 49ers, right? Like, I didn't hear no bell. They're bleeding. They're battered. They're getting pummeled every single week, but they're winning.
Dude, it's the whole NFL. And maybe I'll change my mind about the product as the season goes on, because now September has become glorified preseason and October is kind of where teams find their footing a little bit. And then November and December, we see what football is really about and what teams are really about. But there's no dominant team in this year's league. I think there's more balance in the sense of there's a lot of teams that can beat each other and a lot of teams that can be beat, if that makes sense. Like Green Bay lost to Carolina. Carolina has lost 5 in a row, right? Or won 5 in a row, excuse me. Pittsburgh just beat the brakes off of Indy, and Indy looked like, they could be that sort of dominant team. And so you look around the league, dude, there's a lot of mediocre everywhere. Like, I don't know that an injured 49ers are being able to be 6-3. I think the product is tremendously diminished. Yeah,
I think the Colts have got a wake up coming. They got the Chiefs coming up. They got the Texans coming up. They got Seattle, the Niners.
But Indy looked like that sort of team in terms of just like how talent looks on the first 6 weeks, right? Offense was unstoppable, running it, throwing it. They were stopping everybody on defense. Like, Indy looked like, okay, they're going to be one of those teams that have that sort of regular season. Without them, who's having that sort of regular season? Buffalo? They got beaten up by Atlanta.
The Patriots are 7-2.
I guess maybe.
The Eagles are 6-2 and the defending champs. I know they've.
Dude, that's the worst. I did it all year last year. I'm never gonna not do it. Worst 6-2 team.
It's the weirdest 6-2. Like, everybody seems miserable. It's like you've won 3 times as many games as you lost, and
they just somehow don't lose. Everything is going wrong, and then you turn the game on, and they somehow win it, and you're frustrated.
So, real quick, Niners-Rams this week. Are you predicting a Niners victory?
I want to see how the rest of this week plays out. I think the Michael Williams injury affects my way of thinking of this game because I just don't know how the Niners defense is going to be able to get stops.
Yeah,
but I don't want to lose faith in my Niners, if that makes sense, and count them out on Monday. So I'm going to probably convince myself by Thursday, give myself a good 8 to 10 reasons why the Niners should win this game, and then become unnecessarily upset that they lose the game that I expected them to lose, but then also expected them to win, if that makes sense. That's kind of my system as a fan, and I'll go through that vicious cycle.
It's 17-7 Cardinals over the Cowboys right now. I think Kyler Murray was
You're good with Jacoby Brissett, dude. It's a real thing.
Kyler was
talked about it.
That's a shadow benching in Arizona.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the way his injury even came up was very shadow benching-ish. But I think Kyler Murray has been very contented to be shadow benched since the moment he signed that contract and got the video game clause out of it.
Right. Yeah. Then he was all set. He was just like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Dude, we talked about it when they played him week 3. There's no reason to turn this into a Kyler Murray show, but like Kyler Murray's physical traits used to pop off your screen. Like, oh, his arm is kind of a whip. Oh, he's super fast. He does not look like that at all. And he sucks at playing quarterback. It's a double whammy. He just looks like a little guy.
It is crazy. Like, do you know how physically talented you have to be to get drafted in the first round in 2 totally different sports? Like,
do you know how gifted you have to be the first pick in the NFL draft at 5'10"?
Right. Like just the raw physical ability that he was working with it was otherworldly. Like just the arm, the speed, the acceleration, all of it. And yet no one has done less with more than Kyler Murray. He looks like ass, dude. He looks terrible. He doesn't scare me at all.
He should go play baseball. He doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And I think he's celebrity backup a little bit. Like, I don't know that he would play the role of being a backup either. So I don't know, like, what team is going to be in the Kyler Murray market this offseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't want no part of it for sure.
Right. And so, like, I think it's kind of over for him.
I want to see other NFC West teams do poorly. So great. Thank you, Kyler Murray. If we could spread some of that bad juju to the Seahawks.
No. I don't think you want that. I think you want Kyler Murray to stay. Because if Arizona gets a competent quarterback and then they fire Gannon this year, Arizona's talented. Arizona's not a slouch in this division to me.
They have some good players.
Poorly managed, coached.
We'll see how the Monday night game turns out. Thank you, Vish, for hopping in. I really do appreciate it. There's almost 500 people watching. Thank you so much, everybody. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. I promise if you give us a chance, you'll come back. We're live every single weekday for you here. We're live after every Niner game, after breaking news. So please give us a chance. I promise you will enjoy it. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Vish, thank you. I know you worked hard all day. I appreciate it, my friend.
Of course. Love being on. See you guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching.